Cryptid, as defined by Merriam-Webster, is an animal such as Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster that has been claimed to exist, but never proven to exist. We are all familiar with Sasquatch, of course, the Chupacabra, and even the Mothman. But today I will be sharing with you the stories of 3 lesser-known cryptids you may not have heard of. Some appear to be completely fictional, while others have some basis in reality. And remember that the mountain gorilla wasn't officially discovered until 1902. Before that, it had only been rumored as some human-like beast out in the wild. It was a cryptid, and we discover thousands of new species every year, and according to Science Daily, there are an estimated 15 million species on Earth, which we are only aware of a couple million. So it might not be long until some of the creatures in this list are officially discovered, or perhaps some of them are all merely a work of our overactive imagination. If you're interested in anything mysterious, go ahead and like this video right now. And if you want to get to the bottom of these strange mysteries, go ahead and subscribe, because that is my goal with this channel, to explore the unknown, share those stories with you, and chip away at the mysteries of this incredibly beautiful and sometimes hauntingly strange world. Thank you guys. Let's get into it. Around 2004, Giovaldi Caratiana, a member of the Caratiana tribe made up of only 320 people in South America in the Amazonian rainforest near to a place they call the Cave of the Mapinguari, was out hunting when suddenly he smelled something foul. The ground started to shake under his feet and the trees began to rumble, swaying back and forth. Something large was approaching his position. He said it was coming toward the village and making a big noise. The creature was massive, upwards of 7 feet tall, and had a thick mat of fur over its entire body. He said it stopped when it got near me, and that's when the bad smell made me dizzy and tired. I fainted, and when I came to, the Mapinguari was gone. When he came to, it was nowhere to be seen, but it had certainly left a trail. It was as if a giant boulder had rolled through the area, leveling trees and crushing anything that got in its way. Luckily, Giovaldi narrowly escaped being crushed or even consumed by this creature, a creature known to the natives as the Mapinguari. And amazingly, he is not the only one to have had encounters with this massive monster of the Amazonian rainforest. Dr. David Oren, a former director of research at the Giovaldi Institute, spent time investigating claims of the infamous Mapinguari. He's interviewed hundreds of locals who have claimed to either seen or had close encounters with the cryptid, and although some details differ, like whether it has one eye in the center of its forehead or whether or not it actually has a second mouth on its abdomen, all accounts generally agree that the creature stands 7 feet tall or more, emits a noxious odor, and has a thick matted fur that covers a hard shell-like covering that makes it impervious to arrows and gunfire. In fact, Dominguez Parentintin, who is supposedly very familiar with the beast, says the only way you can kill a Mapinguari is by shooting at its head. But that is, he continued, hard to do because it has the power to make you dizzy and turn day into night. So the best thing to do if you see one is to climb a tree and hide. So what on earth is this thing? Some have said it resembles the North American Sasquatch. However, that is excluding the one eye in its forehead or the giant mouth on its abdomen, while noting a few other distinct differences. Unlike the stealthy and shy Sasquatch that move through the trees seemingly effortlessly, the Mapinguari is said to actively approach humans, and quite aggressively at that. Instead of maneuvering through the brush to escape, this creature shakes the ground when it walks. And the large, hideous mouth on its stomach, that's used to slowly devour the prey after crushing them with its massive weight. Oren is convinced he knows what this creature is. He says, "It is quite clear to me that the legend of the Mapinguari is based on human contact with the last of the ground sloths. According to him, this is what the mapinguari is. It's a giant ground sloth currently known to science to be extinct for nearly 10,000 years. This creature would be larger than modern elephants and make a lot of noise when they moved, exactly how many locals describe them. Yet, many scientists remain skeptical, citing no close encounters after years of major deforestation of the Amazon. If they were there, they surely should have been noticed by more than just locals by now. Although not every scientist is in complete agreement. Ethnobiologist Glenn Shepard Jr., once a skeptic himself, had a change of heart after speaking with natives of the Mashiguanga people, who live in the western Amazonian territory. One of the tribal members said that he'd seen the mapinguari not only in the wild, but matter-of-factly also in the Natural History Museum in Lima, Peru. The figure he was referring to was a diorama of the giant ground sloth. My feeling on this is that this creature still exists today, and it's only a matter of time before one is found alive. But let me know what you guys think. Sometime in 2007, a family outing in Oklahoma turned tragic. One of the boys decided to go out for a swim on one of Oklahoma's many lakes. Being able-bodied and familiar with the lake, he wasn't afraid to push his limits. He got out a ways, turned around, and saw his family on the shore when suddenly something lurking just beneath his feet latched onto him. He panicked and started screaming out for help. From the shore, it became instantly clear that something was wrong. But unfortunately, nothing much could be done before the boy took his last breath and vanished underneath the surface. But just before that happened, he yelled out that something was pulling him down. The boy was never found. A dramatic increase in drowning deaths around the time had some believing that this could be the work of a horrifying lake monster. One incredible theory suggests that it could have been a lake octopus, the size of a horse. Although physical evidence is sparse for this lake octopus, it begs the question, is it even possible for octopuses, and yes, that is the correct plural for octopus, but is it possible for octopuses to live in freshwater lakes, especially lakes in the American heartland? Well, the short answer is no, it's not. At least, it's not possible for any species of octopus that we know of. Why? Because all known octopus species are saltwater creatures, and they simply can't survive in fresh water, which is what makes up the Oklahoma lakes in question. However, octopuses are known to be highly adaptable creatures, and it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility that natural selection could have provided the adaptation necessary for octopuses to live in fresh water. It's been suggested that perhaps tens of millions of years ago, when the Oklahoma area was indeed submerged underwater, that a small population of octopus could have become trapped as the water receded, slowly evolving in ways that would allow it to survive in small pockets of fresh water that now make up the Oklahoma lakes. But just because something is possible doesn't mean it's true. And a careful examination of the evidence suggests to me, at least, that although I don't know what caused the spike in drowning deaths, octopuses seem like a very unlikely scenario when other factors could easily be more responsible. Here are a few factors to consider. Recovered bodies have never shown evidence of markings indicative of animal attacks, especially not those of an octopus. In fact, an article from a local news outlet said that the Tulsa district, which covers Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and northern Texas, has had 16 drownings so far this year. This article was written in July of 2011. That's compared to 15 all of last year. All but one of this year's drowning deaths could have been prevented with life jackets. Scientific America even chimed in on this very issue, stating most of Oklahoma's many lakes, including those in question, were constructed in the mid-20th century as engineering projects by damming local rivers. and a river octopus would have to have adapted to fresh water and at some point made its way up the Mississippi and subsequently smaller rivers, swimming upstream and navigating numerous dams. I'm not saying that that's impossible, just that it seems highly unlikely, and the crutch is that the lakes in question are man-made in recent history and not naturally forming. But perhaps most damning of all is the fact that it's really hard to find any sources of this Oklahoma octopus phenomena prior to the Lost Tapes episode on the creature. If you're not familiar with the Lost Tapes, it is a dramatized Animal Planet series focusing on retelling stories about cryptids. The kicker is that much of the show is entirely fictional. In fact, although similar unfortunate drownings have occurred, the story I shared with you at the beginning was taken from the Lost Tapes episode, and many locals chiming in the comments claim to have never heard of such a creature in their many years living near these lakes. It seems to me that although the Oklahoma octopus is now firmly rooted in the consciousness of cryptozoology, I'd argue that it's at least in part and potentially in full due to the over-imaginative producers at Animal Planet. One point they use to stretch this idea into an octopus is the red colorization seen on some creature that locals have indeed witnessed, which they use in an attempt to link to the deep red colorization of this saltwater octopus. But this seems to be easily resolved. Perhaps the Oklahoma octopus is nothing more than the very real, albeit rare, giant red carp known to inhabit the lakes. To me, the lack of sources exterior to the Lost Tapes, along with people's claims of a red creature that seemed to match that of the giant carp, is evidence enough that the freshwater octopus isn't real. And I'm giving this one a 0. But for you keyboard conspiracy buffs out there, it's worth mentioning that there was at least one confirmed sighting of an octopus in an Oklahoma lake, and it even made it into the local news. The conclusion given by the Grand River Dam Authority: the octopus was part of a seafood buffet at the nearby yacht club. Someone reportedly threw it into the water as part of a joke, where the lake goer later spotted it. Let me know if you have ever seen the Oklahoma octopus. I would love to hear your stories. We all know about Bigfoot, but did you know about Littlefoot? No, not that one. More like this one. Yeah, they're real, but they may not be the unassuming, adventure-hating, peaceable group you're used to in Tolkien's lore. But they are hungry. Very hungry. And they're cannibals who attacked 3 scientists who trekked into their territory on the island of Flores, Indonesia back in '77, eating 2 of them and leaving only Dr. Timothy Darrow as the sole survivor who, upon returning home, was wrongfully convicted of murder and maintained his innocence while fruitlessly trying to convince a jury that the 3-foot-tall humanoid creatures attacked them. And despite authentic video evidence of these creatures, his testimony was ultimately dismissed and he remains locked up in prison to this day. All of the original footage of this expedition, including the unprecedented imagery and video of these creatures, can be seen on the Animal Planet documentary Cannibals in the Jungle, which aired as recently as 2015. Animal Planet.
And what he said he saw was impossible. But I believe Timothy Darrow was telling the truth.
Yeah, this documentary is pure fiction, because I'm pretty sure the Night King would be able to hold his own against the hobbitses of Indonesia, and, wouldn't be in prison for his whole life. But in all seriousness, Animal Planet, I implore you, stop these faux documentaries. I used to watch you as a kid, and I believed what you put out, and I guarantee you that 90% of the people watching your shows see this, that you put in large letters at the beginning of your show, and not this, tucked away in small letters at the end of your documentary. So this story of cannibal hobbits eating scientists never happened. Dr. Timothy Darrow, not a real person. That whole story is fabricated by Animal Planet. Ugh, so frustrating. But, you know, I guess we all have choices to make in life. Some of us scrape by trying to get YouTube channels dedicated to getting to the truth of the things off the ground, while others, with endless supplies of money under the guise of authenticity, manipulate the public into believing falsehoods. You know, life choices. Who am I to judge? But you might be asking yourself, what is this scientific evidence they blatantly abuse and use as a springboard to advance their fabricated storyline? Well, this is the real heart of the story. For centuries, oral tradition from the Nej, a native tribe occupying the island of Flores, Indonesia, have spoken of a group of tiny individuals who are hairy, stand upright, eat just about anything, and live in the cave systems of Indonesia, especially those on the Isle of Flores. And they call them the Ibu Gogo. Roughly translated, the grandmother who eats anything. It's said that they spoke an intelligent language, which to human ears sounded like nothing more than an eerie, soft mumbling in the wind, and that they could repeat back like a parrot human words as clearly as a person who spoke it. It's said that the grandmother, Ibu Gogo, throws her large pendulous breasts over her shoulders while roaming the island, stealthily maneuvering through the underbrush, mimicking human voices and kidnapping little children out of their beds in an attempt to learn from them how to cook, of all things. And presumably, because of this frustrating habit they had of kidnapping the Naj's children, legend has it that the Nej conspired to eliminate this annoying threat. They presented palm fiber to the Ibu Gogo in order for them to make their own clothing. However, upon taking the fiber into their dwelling, a large cave in the heart of Flores, the Nej set a fire at the mouth of the cave, burning them alive and suffocating those who retreated to the deeper reaches of the cave, ultimately killing most, if not all, of the Ibu Gogo. It's said, however, that some survived, and rumors of their haunting mumbling echo throughout the jungle to this day. This supposedly happened a mere 300 years ago. The legends of these mythical tiny humans abound in Indonesia, but amongst academics, it remained largely just that, a myth perpetuated by the locals. That is, until 2003, when a team of archaeologists inside the Liang Bua cave on the island of Flores, Indonesia, unearthed 8 skeletons of what was ultimately a previously unknown species of human. Homo floresiensis was discovered, and through our understanding of the human family tree, a curveball. This species of hominin stood 3 feet tall, had a brain about as large as a chimpanzee, had for its overall size large feet, walked upright, and was dated to around 13 to 38,000 years ago. These creatures appeared to live at the same time as modern humans. One theory suggests that a band of the more fully understood and much older species of Homo erectus became isolated on the island of Flores, and through natural selection, and what is known as Foster's rule, got smaller. Foster's rule says that on islands, small mammals tend to get bigger, while larger mammals tend to get smaller. And this is aptly illustrated by the pygmy stegodon, a small extinct elephant subspecies of the stegodon family that got trapped on Flores Island and became much smaller than its ancestors, whom it appears Homo floresiensis ate a lot of, particularly the babies. They may not have been able to take down a fully grown pygmy stegodon, so they picked off the baby pygmy stegodon. There are a lot of stegodon bones in the caves where floresiensis was discovered, with cut marks on them along with burn marks, suggesting that these hominins were tool-using, fire-branding Bigfoot mother hobbits. But before much could even be said about this new discovery, some other dudes with PhDs were like, these guys are just humans with pathological genetic issues. And they attempted to compare them to other known pygmy tribes around the world. But even more dudes with PhDs were like, nope, that hypothesis doesn't hold water, because although human pygmies do exist, none of them ever evolved to have smaller than normal human brains, and that it also didn't explain the archaic wrist bones found on Floresiensis that resembled more fully the bones of the Homo erectus. And ever since that fateful day in 2003, scientists have been doing what they do best, throwing shade on opposing theories and arguing about what these skeletons actually are. But despite differences of opinion, they largely agree that whatever these things are, they are extinct and haven't been around for tens of thousands of years. But not only does that contrast with local reports and oral tradition of the Ibu Gogo, it leaves one wondering on one particular video that appears by all accounts to be authentic. Fredography, a channel based in Indonesia that uploads dirt biking and adventure videos, uploaded this shocking video in 2017. The group appears to run into a small human-like creature carrying a spear. Many point out that it looks fake because it seems to just appear out of nowhere. However, this doesn't appear to be the case, as you can see it prior to the point at which they claim the creature appears. It's just slowly moving through the underbrush and obscured slightly. Now, I haven't done an extensive analysis on this video, but there don't appear to be any obvious signs of deception on the face of it. His channel doesn't have any other strange or faked videos, and the video was compelling enough to catch the attention of the local Indonesian government, who contacted Fredography and attempted to search the area where this was filmed for the entity. Given my research, I think there is a possibility that the Ibu Gogo is based on a real creature that resembles the Hobbit, and the bones found in 2004 could very well be the ancestors of this creature. I don't know, but I think it could very well be out there right now. But let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Leave them down below, and also make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. So that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. Stay tuned for more top 3s like this. Thank you. See you next time.